Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. Welcome to the Budgy Smugglers.
We are back.
I'm here with Jeremy Dooley, former Coburg Giant forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And I'm Stephen Bradshaw, former legendary 2002 grand final winning fullback for the Melton Bloods under-12 team.
Wow.
Which was a pretty big day in my life that
Absolutely.
I remember. I feel like this is the second week in a row where I feel like I might have peaked athletically in primary school.
Yeah. Tell me, do you remember your opponent? Because in under 10s, under 12s, not as much in under 14s, but the full forward was just the big fat kid who couldn't play anywhere else. And so I was always like, I got to figure out how to get in front of this mountain of a monolith.
I think if memory serves, we were really good. So they just stuck me at fullback. So I wasn't involved in the play. But I had that dog in me. Anyway, that's a trip down memory lane. Anything interesting happened to you in the last week or so?
Oh, I had a kid.
What?
I had a kid.
That's a pretty big week. That's almost as big as my under-12 grand final.
Almost.
Yeah, amazing. Tell me all about it. How'd it go?
Almost. So it was, little Zeppy is his name.
Great name, by the way. I was very proud of you for that one.
And, he came out Monday afternoon on the 24th of Feb. Came out early. Weren't expecting it at all. He's great. He loves cuddles, loves crying, loves pooing, loves all the things. So he takes after me in a lot of ways. And he's great. He's super healthy. And tell you, I have never cried so much in a week for tears of joy. I think the only other time in my life I've cried tears of joy was when Richmond won the AFL Premiership in 2017 against the Adelaide Crows. So it's right up there. It was a very, very cool moment, very special. It was, when you see him, it's like time stands still, and it's a very, very incredible moment. And it's interesting what it does to you, because you go straight away into dad mode and you don't even realize, like, just zero fucks given anymore. So it's and I'm already making shit jokes at home, and
amazing.
I was arguably doing that anyway.
Yeah. I've seen you do it on stage.
I can claim it now.
Yeah, it's great. You got a good example of a shit dad joke you've done? What was it? Do you remember what your first dad joke was?
My partner Chelsea, I was in the kitchen and she said, "Can you put the kettle on?" And I said, "I don't know if it's going to fit me."
No.
The look of disgust on her face, and Zeppy started crying.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I gave myself a standing ovation.
Yeah,
it was so good.
I'd be pretty happy with that one.
It was so good. So it was. It's pretty wild. Definitely not something that I was anticipating happening just yet. He definitely arrived a little bit earlier than anticipated, but super lucky, super thankful. He's good. Chelsea's good. Everyone's good. Thank you to everyone who has messaged as well and said congratulations. That's been awesome. Love that. And to people who have left food on my doorstep as well. Lots of lasagna, which I go through lasagna like it's nobody's business.
Amazing. Is that probably the best thing about having a child? I've never had a child, so I'd imagine lasagna would be right up there.
It's good, yeah. People give you food. People have I took him in the pram, got a coffee. Someone paid for the coffee just because they could tell that he was fresh out of the oven, and they're like, "Yeah, you deserve this." I'm like, I didn't do anything. I was just there. It was probably the best 7 seconds of my life when he was conceived. So I've done nothing. I'm just there. It's been great. People have been great. And it's weird getting back in the swing of things. So I cleared the schedule a little bit, and so still doing this every week now that because he came out last Monday, so we had to cancel that one, but still here and just slowly easing back into the swing of things on stage.
Amazing. So you haven't got up on stage since? It's only been 7 days.
Yeah, it's literally 7 days. No, so Last week after we filmed, I ended up getting quite unwell,
Yes.
Which was not good. So I had to cancel a few things. I'd done a few podcast rounds promoting for the comedy festival, but got a little bit crook and then sort of eased back into it and accepted sort of fairly late in the piece. I was sort of out and I was in, and then I was out and then I was in, and then I woke up Saturday and I thought,
Sorry, was that you?
That was how he was conceived. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I ended up playing in Warrnambool on the Saturday night at Dirty Angel Comedy. I was going to say Dirty Secrets Comedy. That is not in Warrnambool. That is in Collingwood. But yeah, it was a fantastic gig. It was an absolute cracker of a show. It's a great gig because you bring locals up on stage and it might be their first or second time performing. And, man, some of those acts go hard in the paint.
Do they?
What was funny in the 80s is not necessarily like big today and popular.
No, I know that. Like when we went to Darwin, I remember I went up a day earlier than you, and I did the open mic there. It was a great time. Everyone did great. I think some people it was their first, like you said, first or second gig. Some of the things they said, Jeremy, you would not be able to do at Dirty Secrets in Collingwood. I tell you that right now.
Not at all.
And I loved every bloody second of it, to be honest with you.
It's kind of... It is when you're sitting backstage. So I ended up hosting at last second. I wasn't expecting that. I was just going to... to do 15 minutes or so, and rocked up there, and the promoter's like, now that you're here, how do you feel about hosting the show and sort of, being the conductor? And I probably didn't have the physical energy because I'd been in bed for most of the week. But I was like, yeah, look, it's a little bit extra in the pocket. So that's always nice. So I did that and it was great. But backstage, like a lot of these acts, their first time. I think we had 3 first timers. So there was a workshop done beforehand just to fine tune them. And you forget how nerve wracking it is when you haven't done comedy before to then go out in front of, what wasn't a huge audience. It would have been 50 people in there. But when you're going out there, it's a big stage, bright lights, and it can be quite intimidating. So seeing people just freaking out behind the scenes was very cool because it's been a while since I was in that position.
Yeah, that's awesome. You started super young in terms of your first ever gig.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I started when I was in high school. So my first gig, I was in year 12. I did the Class Clowns competition.
Yep.
And it was at some theatre in South Yarra, and then played at the Melbourne Town Hall on the main stage and blitzed. And
hell yeah, you did.
It was good. Yeah, won Class Clowns. That was cool. That was back in the day. And then when I returned 20 years later, my first gig was to 7 people at Voltaire on a Friday night.
Not quite the same fanfare.
Not the same.
That's crazy.
What was your first gig?
My first gig was at the Chook.
Yep.
Just crushed. As you would expect.
Of course.
So, not much to tell.
Yeah.
And been crushing ever since, to be honest with you.
True. That is true. That is. What have you been up to in the last couple of weeks?
Just the regular gigging. Obviously, comedy festivals coming up, so a lot of promotion, all that kind of stuff for Goff's Comedy. Had a really good couple of weeks of gigs, actually. I've been up in Franger, of course, which is fun. What else? But I did a gig here, so we're filming live from Stupid Old Studios in Brunswick. They did a show downstairs. That was filmed. It's going on Channel 31 or something. So looked awesome. The team did an amazing job. The set was great. The crowd was awesome. So I did that, and then on Friday I did the brewery in Geelong. It was their 3rd anniversary party. So always a good show. Did get awarded, obviously, the 2024 Geelong Comedian of the Year, which was a foregone conclusion. But
you've been campaigning for the last 2 years.
Look, I may have mentioned, that I'm about due.
Is that like giving yourself a nickname? It's like the self-anointed nickname and the self-anointed. No, I'm the winner of this award.
No, I think it was justifiably won. I went through all the stats. Obviously, like most shows during the Geelong Comedy Festival, most tickets sold out of anyone, which yeah, it took me 7 shows to do it, but not everyone can sell 150 tickets to one show like Geraldine Hickey or Luke Hegging. So there was that. I've done the brewery the most out of anyone except for Tyson Popplestone. Anyway, these are the things I kept telling Blaze via message most days.
You're a stats man.
400. Yeah, I'm a stats man.
Moneyball. You moneyballed your way into it.
I did. I really conned my way into it. And then just, let's be honest, it was lack of competition in terms of who goes there the most. It
was between you and Tom Stanimiros, I think.
We probably did it the most outside of Popplestone, because you would have done it 10 times probably, once every month or two.
Yeah, probably do it every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm there probably twice a month, either emceeing or something. So it was just sheer numbers. And I think Blaze did mention that indeed in the announcement. It's, sometimes it's not about who's the funniest person, but it's the one that we could count on the most and helps the room out the most. And then he did say it shits him to tears that he had to give me the award, but it was literally no one else. So anyway, that was my big win of the last fortnight.
Good stuff. And episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. Have you got any feedback?
We've got some comments.
Yeah.
Some people have said some things. Some people have slid in and said some things. I had a screenshot. Lee Clark. I don't know. That sounds like a fake name. Lee Clark, you talking about swimmers and you messed up the swimmers' names royally. You're talking about Kate Campbell and Emma McEwen. Or is it McKeon? I'm not sure. But as the most successful...
Wait, was it Emma McEwen?
Yeah.
I don't even think that's one name we mentioned.
No.
Oh, God damn it. Another one, someone was very angry that you said that Jordan Mailata sung in front of 20 to 30,000 people, and that was someone from Philadelphia saying it was at least 2 million people I was there, and then which was pretty funny. But most of the comments I got were nice. People I haven't heard of from in a while, and then just randos. So I think it went okay. Yeah,
absolutely. I did get a couple of people in person mention, and we've got it here in the notes, that the big Lucian who's on your card there, big Luke Longley, didn't make Mount Rushmore for Australian basketballers, despite being the real trailblazer. Bunch of championships with the Bulls, like drafted pretty early back in the day, and being a huge ambassador for the game. Didn't even enter my thoughts.
Didn't even think about it. And I'll put my hand up for that one. They just released, there's a really cool Luke Longley documentary they released on YouTube or something that I just watched, which was really cool.
Is that because he didn't make the Last Dance?
That's actually an Australian story from ABC, which where Michael Jordan actually appeared on it and basically had to apologise to the entire country because everyone was pissed off that he was the only one who didn't get a mention.
Well, they had like Bill Wennington in that.
He was in that.
As if you're going to have the backup centre.
I mean, Steve Kerr got a whole episode and he was like a sixth man.
Yeah.
And Luke Longley was the starting centre.
And, my biggest memories of Luke Longley at the Bulls was getting the ball sort of in the post and doing like a behind-the-back bounce pass to Jordan or Pippen, who were cutting behind him. He was a solid player. He was a role player, but he played it to perfection. No ego, just went in there and won.
Basically, off his own back. Those
pretty much.
But he was the perfect role player for that team.
Without him, they don't win.
Is that your big call?
It's a big call. I'm starting early. But because he was such a glue guy, like he wasn't necessarily good at many things, but he was like, there a lot. And
rebound a little, he could shoot a little.
He could pass a little bit.
He could pass. For a big man, he could pass a lot.
White, you need a token.
Yeah.
And they had a few sprinkled in there.
Yep.
The Bulls back then, pretty white for an NBA team.
Yeah, for a successful NBA team.
You had Luke Longley. This is just off the top of the head here.
Yeah.
Luke Longley, Bill Wennington, Steve Kerr, Judd Bushler.
Okay, that's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut. I think that was it. But and Tony Kukoc.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
five.
whole team. They could have started with them and played Jordan and Pippen off the bench and still won. Probably.
That's a white team.
That's a pretty white team.
Thankfully, you had the balance by having like three of the greatest players of all time and balancing that out. Because that white team has no athleticism. The skilled white guy.
Yeah, no one's buying those jerseys, I don't think.
I would love a Judd Bushler Bulls jersey.
You could pick one up.
That'd be a deep jersey to wear.
Be either very cheap or extraordinarily expensive.
Do you own any random NBA jersey or like sporting jersey from players who people would be like, who?
Not that deep of a cut. Like, I think the deepest cut would be like a Mike Bibby Sacramento is probably the deepest cut. Like,
have you seen what he looks like now?
No.
Holy shit. Google that. Mike Bibby today is jacked.
Is he?
He's huge. And like to the point where it doesn't actually look like him. It looks like an AI version.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He looks like he's in anaphylactic shock, like he's eaten shellfish.
Someone's left him in the sun for a few days in a bathtub or something. He's gotten swollen. He's been in the gym.
Good for Mike. I like that.
He's been in the gym. But yeah,
you deep cut.
I do. I own a Minnesota Timberwolves Rashad McCants jersey.
Yeah, me can't remember that player at all. When did he play?
Yeah, I think he played in the sort of, early 2000s maybe-ish, like around like 2008 maybe.
Were you just a big fan or is it?
No, I don't know how. I never paid. I don't know how it came into my possession. I think maybe one of my housemates who lived in Minnesota was a big T-Wolves fan, but then realised, why am I owning this jersey? And just kind of said, hey, jersey, you can have it.
Nice.
So I took it.
That's how I got the Bibby jersey as well, to be honest.
Bibby was a good player, though.
Yeah.
Bibby was a good player.
Most of my jerseys are Sean Kemp related. Yeah. So
fair enough. The Rain Man. Has a few kids, the Rain Man, apparently. Gets after it on and off court.
27 more than you.
Yeah. That he knows of.
That makes me like him even more somehow. Yeah. It's just like he was doing this and all the cocaine and still making it rain. What a guy.
What a machine.
What a someone I'm very proud to look up to as a what would you call it?
Role model.
Yeah. Thank you. We're filming late today. Trying my best.
Yep.
Anything else? Any other news? I suppose once you have a baby, that's kind of all that happens.
I have been this is basically my first outing to do anything of note. So my world shrunk very, very quickly. One thing I did do, though, was my TV died, which was not ideal. When you're up in the middle of the night with like nursing a baby, you need a TV to work. One thing that I am lucky, and we're sort of like moving here, but the TV died the day after the Young Socceroos won the Asian Cup.
So after, so you got to watch.
So I got to watch that. Like I'm holding the little fella, while he's sort of grumbling a little bit, and we're there like watching the game. And I love the world game. I get right into soccer or football, depending on where you're from.
Soccer,
football. And I was like, oh, it was very tense game, but it was great. But it was a very, very tense game.
Let's get into the news. Tell me all about it. I didn't get to see it. I've read up about it. Talk me through the penalties. Obviously, it's our first time into the World Cup. I don't know. You tell me.
I think I don't know. So from what I can gather, having watched the game in the middle of the night on whatever night that was, that the Young Socceroos are historically not very good.
Yeah.
And they're very good at being not very good because all of the good players don't get released to that team. And so like this team, not the best players who would have been potentially available. If everyone was available, probably none of these guys would have been getting on the field.
Yep.
But they did very well. I think getting to the semis was like the best that they'd ever done beforehand. And this is the Asian Cup. This isn't even the World Cup. There's no Brazil.
Yes. It's the first time we'll be going to the World Cup in Chile. It's the first time in 12 years.
Yeah. which is wild. And it was 1-1 at the end of regular time. I couldn't tell you who scored. Augusti, someone like that scored for the Socceroos. I was getting real into it. And then the other team, Saudi Arabia, I think, Iraq, I don't know.
I think it was Saudi Arabia.
It was Saudi Arabia. Their goal was it was bullshit. Like Australia should have won the game in regulation, but it was bullshit. So the goalkeeper sort of was just caught behind his line a little bit, and when he took the ball, it was just over the goal line, and so there was a long sort of VAR look at it to be did it pass the line or not? There was no goal line technology, so they gave them the goal, and then it went to penalties. And I tell you, the Aussie penalty takers were ice cold. They were assassins. They went in there, did not miss. Who was it? Alex Badalado, I think his name was, scored a Panenka goal. Do you know what a Panenka is?
No, I've got no idea.
It is the ballsiest move to pull in a penalty shootout. Because essentially, when you're doing a penalty shootout, all the pressure is on the kick taker. The goalie is not expected to save it. So the goalie just guesses which way and hopes for the best. All the pressure is on the penalty taker. And so most of the time you're trying to power the ball left or right, occasionally down the middle, but left or right. And you're trying to get it there as quickly as possible to beat the goalie, because sometimes the goalie will get their hands on it, but you want that power there. And a Panenka is the opposite of all of that. A Panenka is when you basically just kind of chip the ball straight down the middle, and the ball moves so slowly, and it's kind of embarrassing for the goalkeeper. And it was the second or third penalty take for the young Socceroos, and he just rocks up there. Bang, little Panenka straight through. And then I think, gave the shush and, ballsy.
I love it. We're back. I love that. While we're on Asia Cups, Australia smashed Indonesia 109-58 in the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Huge game, which are going to be held in Saudi Arabia later this year. Have you ever been, have you been to Bali? Surely you're Australian.
I've been to Bali,
yeah. Have you ever been walking around and thought that any one Balinese person could take you one-on-one in a basketball game?
They're not known for their height, the Balinese or the Indonesians, no. But there you go. I didn't even know they had a team. Who played for Australia?
No one.
I didn't even know that this game was on.
Neither did I. I just saw it in the news, which is why I'm reporting. I'm a hardcore journalist now.
You'd want Australia to be belting them. If Australia's playing in the Asian region that is a spanking. Australia should be doing very well in that tournament. In those, they should never not be making the Asian Cups in basketball.
That would be insane. Soccer, I get. There's a lot of competition in soccer.
There's more money in football, all those Middle Eastern teams in particular, the Saudi Pro League. There's so much money in sport. I'll tell you, Saudi Arabia, if you need a sports-based podcast with two guys who know a little bit but not much about sport.
But Compasses Saudi Arabian.
Yeah.
Given the right
you both could.
Easily.
I could. So hit us up, the Budgy Smugglers. That we could do that.
I'll take that oil money in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
God damn.
Absolutely.
Australia's on fire the last week or a bit. Through to the semis of the Championships trophy in the ICC, the cricket. First time since 2009. Find that hard to believe.
That is a wild stat.
Yeah.
What format of cricket is this?
One days.
How is Australia not made? Have they done the Champions Trophy in one day 50 over games since 2000? Because surely Australia is doing a lot better in cricket than that.
I don't know what the ICC tournament is.
It's not the World Cup.
It's not the World Cup. Maybe we just don't try.
Is it just one of those, how in the AFL, how every game it's we're playing for the
The Blue Ribbon Cup.
Yeah. But then some of them are even like, some of them are just like, oh, we're playing for the, always remember to, press the button and look left and right before crossing the road trophy. Like they're just really clutching. Every game has a trophy. Every round has a theme. Like, is this cricket's version of that?
It's the ICC, so it's the International Cricket Council, which I think's the FIFA equivalent. So you think either A, it's not a big deal, or B, I didn't read it properly and wrote down the wrong date, which is that either
2019.
It could be 2019.
Yeah, missed the one.
2019, to be honest.
Do you think, like, if it's in India, is it in India or are they just playing India? Yeah. Do you think it's an Indian? Because they're sort of the dons in cricket at the moment. They run the show. Do you think in the last 10 years it's just been India sort of playing against, like Bangladesh and these sort of like lower ranked teams, and then they're like, we kind of have to put Australia in. They've been like dominating. It would look weird now. And Australia's like, oh, yeah, cool. We'll send a team of has-beens.
Maybe. I don't know. Because I didn't even look at the scores, to be honest. I just saw that. I just thought that was worth chatting about. But, I mean, I think the Kiwis are through to the semis. England were there.
England were there.
We beat England last week.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Do you have, like, any favourite Australia? Who's your favourite cricketer, Australian cricketer?
Current?
We'll go one current and one from yesteryear.
All right. Well, current Ashton Gar, because he has the biggest cock. If you listen to last week's episode.
That's a given.
Yeah. He's a great batter. And
he's got a great bat. He's got the big one wood.
He's calling stumps. I would all time. It's hard to go past Warney, but I feel like that's a given. But my favourite growing up, it was always Warney.
Warney.
But like Michael Bevan was my favourite.
Bevo. Oh, no.
No, I remember watching that one day World Cup final or whatever, and we got one ball, we need 4 runs or whatever, he hits it off. That was great. Don't rate him?
I'm going to change chairs because this one keeps creaking and it's driving me nuts coming through the mic there. Quick change over here, folks. This is showbiz. Look, Bevo was all right. Like, he was a good player. But that's better. He was a good player, but was just tap, quick single here, quick single there. Like, he hit that 4 to win the game, but he was just a bit like, all right, cool, man, like, do something. A technician, but not, my favourite player growing up.
Fair enough. Who was give us a current and the past.
Okay, my current, obviously Ashton is a given. Like, that is a given. Removing him, Scotty Boland, like, just big. Just comes in, just gets the job done every single time.
Love that.
My favourite Australian cricketer of all time, though, would probably be Richard Cheekwee from New South Wales.
Jersey?
Yeah, he dominated the Mercantile Mutual Cup back in the day.
Mercantile Mutual, does that company even still exist?
Probably not.
Would they play at the Telstra Dome?
Oh, but way before then. Richard Cheekwee, he'd come out there and it was like they had this like gimmick there where if you hit the Mercantile Mutual sign in the crowd, it was like the players like won something or whatever, and he'd just go out there and like be like slogging and trying to hit the ball out of nowhere, and the only sort of non like super white Aussie dude playing. So Richard Cheekwee was great, and he also I think played in one of the greatest musical acts of all time, Six and Out. With
he was in that band.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in that band. Let's have a look.
I was at a friend's house recently in Sorrento, and they had a Six and Out compact disc.
Right.
And they actually had a CD player as well, which both of those things were astonishing to me.
Okay, so, Richard Cheek. So the members of Six and Out, according to Wikipedia, is an Australian rock band consisting of 5 former New South Wales first-class cricketers formed in 1999, so last century. The band has released... How many studio albums do you reckon Six and Out have released?
Surely they've released their 6th and final record.
2 studio albums, played around 300 gigs on the live music circuit until they dissolved in 2005. Apparently, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese forced them to reunite, and they've done a bunch of reunion shows over the last couple of years. I would love to go and see them play. That would be amazing.
That makes so much sense that would be Albo's favourite band, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Albo, a connoisseur of music, Albo, and obviously he's getting it right here with Six and Out. So the members of the band, Gavin Robertson.
Yeah.
I think he was an off spinner and played a couple of games for Australia.
What instrument did he play?
That is a good question. Where we go? Okay. Gavin Robertson was on drums and vocals.
Okay. Yeah.
Didn't know he played drums. Brad McNamara was guitar and vocals. I think they're quite harmonic here.
Sounds like, well, Brett Lee was guitar and vocals, wasn't he?
Yep. And then, Brett Lee was bass guitar and vocals.
Okay, sorry.
Brother of Shane Lee was guitar and vocals. And the man, the myth, the legend, Richard Cheekwee was lead vocals. No instruments.
He was lead vocals.
He was lead vocals. He didn't need an instrument because his instrument was his voice.
Amazing. And that's why he's your favourite player.
They're all singers in Six and Out, which is amazing. The harmonies there. They're basically like cricket's version of Human Nature.
Name one Six and Out song without looking at
you. Golden Duck. I don't know if that's a song, but I'm sure.
I reckon there is a Six and Out song called.
Do we have? Oh, okay. Here we go. List of singles.
Do they have chart numbers as well?
One of them charted in the top 100 in the year 2000. Can't bowl, can't throw.
I do remember that one. That was
the controversy.
Yes,
Joe the cameraman, and that made it to 100 in the Aussie charts.
Okay. Did it crack the Triple J hottest 100 that year or not quite?
I don't think Triple J understands sport. I think they're anti-sport, Triple J. So. Like they would see that and think musically elite, but there's a sport tinge and like we don't like that. Because they're for the elites, the young people who don't like sport and are allergic to everything.
Let's not get into it now because this is the quick news.
This is the quick.
But maybe for next week's episode, go away and have a think. Greatest athletes turns musicians.
That's a good shout for next week. Write that down so we don't forget.
Done.
They had two other singles. Oh, okay. So I'll do one. Their most recent single from the album "Bring It On," obviously, featuring Australian music legend, legitimately Dave Gleeson from the Screaming Jets.
Wouldn't have guessed that, but.
And the song was called Totally Average Band.
At least they're cheeky. At least they get it.
They get it. You've got, Brad McNamara and Gavin Robertson, those little ragamuffins there, and Richard Cheekwee.
Did Shane Hill ever play? I think he played for Australia in a one-day once, didn't he?
Shane Hill, the basketballer.
Shane Hill. Shane fucking Blake.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he did. Yeah. I think he was like an all-rounder.
Yeah.
And then they had a song.
Guitar, vocals, batter, bowler.
Fielder.
And a fielder. He's, one more and he's Six and Out.
He is, he's the band. And they had another single in 2001 from their debut album, Six and Out, obviously. Oh, hang on. Yes, their debut album was Six and Out.
Tough title.
The song was called 11 and it featured another Australian cricket icon. Who was it?
In
2001, featuring...
wouldn't be Warney.
It was not Warney.
2001, so we're in like Hayden Langer type territory.
Yeah. The golden era. Not Gilly. I feel like Gilchrist would play xylophone. He's got real like xylophone energy. You just imagine me.
Here we go. I reckon this is it. Mark Waugh.
Close.
Steve Waugh.
Correct. Not the. There was another Waugh. Who was the other Waugh? Brett Waugh?
No.
There was. I'm sure there was another Waugh. Dean Waugh.
Oh, there was a Dean Waugh.
Dean Waugh.
He's like the Hemsworth.
Yeah,
he's like the other Hemsworth guy.
He played first class cricket. The highest level he got to was playing. He represented South Australia and New South Wales.
Related to the Wars? Was
Brother.
He brother? He was the brother.
Yeah.
And he had to go to SA
Right-handed
to
batsman, right arm off spinner.
Okay, a bit of an all-rounder as well.
It just says, actually, no, right arm off break. So he only had one delivery, one type of delivery that he could do was just an off break. No variation. Right-handed batsman. And this is what it says. Other information. Although he had a brief career, Dean played first-class cricket and did well.
That's his whole career summary.
That is so patronising. He did well.
If the War Brothers started like a little jazz trio, what would their name be?
Oh. What is it good for?
Yeah, I was going to... Yeah, I think that's probably it. Or...
when the war is over?
III.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good one. World War III.
Yeah. W-A-G-H. W-A-U-G-H?
Yep, W-A-U-G-H.
Cool. All right. Didn't know we'd be talking about 6 and out for about 12 minutes.
Not long enough.
Okay. We'll circle back to this week. Taron Armstrong signed a 2-way with Golden State Warriors. Have you ever heard of it?
Like passingly. I didn't think he would get signed. I don't know about the name Taron.
There's a Taron Egerton.
Yep.
Is that it? Is it just 2 Tarons?
There was a Taron at my primary school.
Yep.
And she was weird.
Okay.
They're the Tarons.
Okay. 3 Tarons. One of them is playing for the Golden State Warriors. One of them's a famous Hollywood actor, and one is a weird girl.
From Glenroy.
Let's get stuck into this. Is good stuff. NRL. Did you watch the NRL in Vegas?
No.
Me either.
I feel like Australian sport going to America. I don't understand why they do it.
I love it. I think it's great. I love that they're taking a swing. I think good on them. You don't think there's any intrinsic value to growing the brands globally?
Can you imagine getting how many? Because how many teams did they send over there? Like 4 teams.
4.
4 teams plus the Gillaroos.
And the 2 UK teams.
And you're sending a large group of rugby league players to Las Vegas. What could go wrong?
Not much. Probably just a punch on in an elevator between teammates. Have you ever gotten into a fight with some, because you travel a bit, work with comedians, and in other jobs you've had as well, MMA, all that kind of stuff. Have you ever gotten into a fight with someone over a hotel room?
Not over a hotel room, in a hotel room. There was I was just a innocent bystander viewing, thoroughly enjoying what was happening. But we were in Vegas actually, and I was with a group of MMA and kickboxers, and we were sort of like waiting to go up into the elevator, to go up into the room for pre-drinks. And there was another group there, got a little bit lippy. This was at the time that MMA wasn't super mainstream, and so we weren't dressed very well. We were basically all wearing like tap out, like Affliction.
I was going to say, how many of you were wearing Affliction t-shirts?
There was a lot of skulls and like bedazzled sort of t-shirts and very distressed jeans, and it was...
We're talking late noughties.
It was a lot, it was bad. It was bad. And there was a group of us, and these guys got a little bit lippy, and one of our guys sort of bit back, and he was a bit older, okay? A little bit older than everyone else. So we were all in our 20s, early 30s. This guy would have been in his mid to late 40s, I would say, and looked it, had a long career. Like he looked like he had aged a little bit. And so these guys who started it didn't like that the old fella bit back at them. And so when they came up to then start something, this guy leg kicked all of them.
How many were there?
5.
Was it one sweep or did you go?
Just went bang to one. That guy dropped, and it was just like they just kept falling. And a leg kick, it's genius because you're not going to go to the cops and be like, I was assaulted. What did they do? Oh, they kicked me in the leg. It's like, oh, did they? But if you've been kicked in the leg before, you know how much that sucks. Like AFL players miss weeks because they've been kicked in the leg and they've got, I've got a corked thigh. This guy just went bang, 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 and they all dropped, and then we just continued on our way. It was chef's kiss.
Amazing.
Because it turns out that guy was also the head coach at for kickboxing at the MMA gym.
I mean, it is... Looking back, I think I would know well enough that if you see a bunch of guys in Vegas wearing Affliction and Tap Out shirts, not to fuck with them.
But I feel like now, if you saw a group of dudes wearing that, you would think you're just a fan.
Yes.
Yep. Back in the day, though, it was so niche that you didn't really wear that sort of gear unless you were like in. Like everyone was wearing like fight labels. Now, if you were like fighters were rocking around wearing fight labels, you think, you're just a fan.
Yeah, 100%. And you'd watch those early UFCs before we get into the hundreds, like in the 40s and 50s and stuff. And it's just the fans are just, they're mental and they're all wearing the same shit. And it was pretty amazing.
We used to, there was a lot of hair product. It was almost like if you're at home watching this on YouTube or listening to this, if you think of like what's the Geordie Shore but in America?
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore. It's like the Jersey Shore, but like who could fight. That's what we all kind of looked like back in the day there.
That checks out. I love that. I think the only fact I might have got right in this whole podcast was the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, it was a good one though. Good one. I was more Geordie Shore. I used to watch that one quite a bit.
Nah, not my thing. We're going to talk a bit more MMA, so I'll just quick shout out to the Gillaroos smashing, annihilating the England women's national team 90-4 in the rugby in Vegas.
Oof, that is a absolute spanking.
And so with the Aussie cricket team, the Aussie basketball team, the young Socceroos, the Gillaroos, monster week, just dominated.
I have a question.
Okay.
Every Australian team has like a name, you know, and some of them are just putrid. Like I think the surfing team is called the Irukandjis.
I've never heard that before.
I think it's an octopus.
Okay.
And I didn't know there was an Australian surfing. I think they just dusted off at the Olympics.
Okay.
The Aussie cricket team does not have a name.
I think that might be the best name we've got.
The Aussie cricket team.
Yeah, the Aussie cricket team. Just keep it simple. I mean, what's the... Should we do another Mount Rushmore? Mount Rushmore of Aussie team names.
Aussie team names. All right.
I think it's... For me, I'm going to throw the locks.
Yep.
Would be the Matildas. Great name. I would also...
The Matildas are a good name because you can shorten it to the Tillies as well, and that's good. We like that. That's Australian.
Yeah. I like the roll of the tongue of Hockey Roos.
Mm-hmm.
They're my two locks, and then there's probably 0 to 1 more for the other two spots. What have you got?
I'd say I don't mind the Kookaburras.
Kookaburras is a great one, actually. Yep. Yeah, good shit.
I don't know. I can't remember which one's the men's hockey or the women's hockey, but the Kookaburras, I think that's a good name.
Oh, is that a hockey name, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought the Hockey Roos were the hockey team.
Yeah, but I think one's the men and one's the women.
Okay. Nice.
The Kookaburras, that's a good one.
The Awesome Foursome.
Awesome Foursome, yeah, but...
Not very Aussie.
No, but it's also, is that... The thing that annoys me is because it's all now they've all got roos in them. There's the Gillaroos, the Socceroos, the Olyroos, the young Socceroos, the Pararoos. Like everything's got roos in it. Like we've got so much more in Australia.
The Soccerwalas.
That's a great one. The Soccerwalas that is awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I think the cricket team...
soccer team has chlamydia as well. So
yeah.
It kind of matches up pretty
They
good.
get around. It's the global game. It's the world game. I think, though, the Aussie cricket team should have a name. If every other team has a name, the cricket team should have a name. Or we get rid of all the other names.
Yeah, and just start from scratch.
What would you call
I tell you what, the Boomers hasn't aged well.
the boom? Yeah, no. Oh, yeah.
None of them have.
No. Okay.
Sorry, I cut you off.
But the Boomers, if you're a headline writer, you must love it when the Boomers do really well or lose, because then you could write, oh, the Boomers are okay. Or,
Yeah. I don't know. What are the Boomers headlines? I thought something funny was going to come out, and then it was blanks.
Don't know. Aussie cricket team should have a name. That's my hot take for the week, is that the Aussie cricket team should have a nickname. And the fact that they don't is un-Australian, especially when you look at all the other sports.
Lock it in. Drop it in the comments. Tell us what you think. What should we call the Australian cricket team?
I'm going to throw one out there.
Is it to do with Ashton Agar's cock, perchance?
Oh, the Broomaroos. I'm going to say, because what's Gillaroos? What's that? What's a Gillaroo? Is that a thing?
I think, isn't a Jackaroo, that's a type of car. So the female version of that Australian car would be a Gillaroo.
Oh, that is. But then they don't call what do they call the Aussie NRL team? We've got the Wallabies. Wallabies is an iconic name. That's the Wallabies. Yeah.
That's a good one. Put that in the...
And not a kangaroo. Very similar to a kangaroo. So creative license there.
The Gillaroos is our national rugby team.
Yeah, but what about that's for the female team. What are the men's teams? They're the Kangaroos.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I rest my case.
All right. I actually did a fact check. A Gillaroo, young woman in training on a cattle station or sheep station in Australia.
That is too niche.
It's very...
That is too niche.
And instead of tackling sheep, they were tackling poms, and done it 90-4. So it kind of works.
It was a smashing
90-4
in rugby.
But if you have seen Geordie Shore, you think a few of them could scrap.
Oh, I love it. They probably just need a bit more booze, and it would have been on.
Yeah, like when the say Canterbury get off and they jump in the shower, they've got to wash all the markings and the grass stains off their shirt, and then the poor Gillaroos have got to wipe off makeup stains and fake tan.
From the English team.
We're getting into Marty Sheebell territory here. Let's move on. More on that later. This is the one. That was our quick hits, by the way. Here's the stuff I wanted to get more in depth on. All right. This is great. Former Rebels biking member golfer Ryan Peake won the $1.8 million Auckland Open in golf yesterday. I think was the final. So he was formerly a Rebels bikie, was sentenced to 5 years in prison for assault in 2015, so 10 years ago. Do you think this will spark an emergence of bikies in professional sport?
1.8 million. That is a lot of bail money.
It's a lot of I tell you what, you'd have to sell a lot of ice.
Yeah,
Breaks that
a lot of gear. Look, I think there has been a little bit of a dabbling of bikies in sports in Australia. Dustin Martin had links.
Yes.
I don't know what he's doing now, Dusty, but had links. Also Rebels as well.
Yep.
So maybe it's just the Rebels.
The Rebels.
Also... a good name for a team, an Australian sporting team, the Rebels. Rebels. I feel like,
who's the sponsor, Jules? Rebel Sport.
Exactly. It works.
All right, I like that. It'd be sponsored by Rebel Sports and American Confectionery Tobacconist on every street in Richmond.
Good.
So I reckon it'll be good.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think when it comes to bikies, there's a lot of bikie stuff in fighting, in boxing and MMA.
Definitely.
But they're low-level sports for cash. You don't make much in Australia in those sports. Golf.
Yeah, I think golf could be the one.
And that's,
mate, he was a bikie. He was a phenomenal athlete, but just a natural golfer. He could have done this.
Is he still a bikie or is he out? Unsure.
He's dead.
He's dead?
Yeah, sorry. You shouldn't have brought this up. Anyway, let's move on.
Is he actually?
He's dead.
What?
Yeah, he died.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So he's not going to win next year's Auckland Open.
He went well. He went out with a bang.
He did. He sure did.
I want to talk about Josh Giddey.
Okay, let's do it.
Now, Josh Giddey, big trade in the offseason, went from OKC, where he was starting to get frozen out in the playoffs. They were talking about, he's maybe not great defensively, inconsistent outside shot. So he went from starting and to getting very few minutes, and they were planning on bringing him off the bench, and he was not happy with that. Bet on himself. Got traded to Chicago for Alex Caruso, who I think should never have shaved his head and kept that hairline. Along with Derek White, also from the Boston Celtics, should have done the same thing. He had a great hairline, got rid of that. Not the same. Josh Giddey in the last, I would say, month has been flat out balling. One of 3 players to have 100 points, 50 boards, and 45 assists in a 5-game span. The other 2, couple of, handy players, Larry Bird and Irvin Magic Johnson, who also, like Josh, likes a bit of off-field stuff. But he's been absolute flat out balling for a little while now, and I think deserves a little bit more credit. I think the basketball media sleep on him a little bit, and they just sort of put him down as this player who can't shoot, but he's been shooting pretty well. He's been getting really solid stats at both ends of the court. He's got beautiful hair. I don't know how it doesn't move more. It's like he doesn't sweat.
I think it's hairspray.
He does. I would say, I think it's hairspray, but he also looks like a bit of a moose sort of guy.
You think so, moose?
A bit of a moose sort of.
Is that which one's the moose?
I think the moose is that weird like white stuff, and it's kind of like I think it's like hairspray that's been sort of solidified just a little bit.
Condensed hairspray.
I think he's a moose man.
He's a moose man. That's Josh. No, I'm not looking that up. I think he's been balling. It's been awesome to see. I think Zach LaVine leaving. I mean, this is what Chicago needs to do. They need a tank. They need. Do they even have their? Yeah, they got their pick back in the trade period, so they're in the flag off, whatever they call it, tanking for flag. They need more players, but yeah, he's just been balling. What I did want to talk about, because I love Josh Giddey, I love the way he plays, and I love that. I think over the last 5 games or so, he's also been shooting around 38% for 3, which is the big threes,
clutch threes, keeping him in it.
Yeah, so he's on fire. The Zach LaVine trade, him and Kobe White, size-wise, makes for a pretty good backcourt.
And then you got Lonzo coming off the bench and sometimes starting now too.
Yeah. I think it works. One thing I noticed in the NBA, because I watch a lot of NBA, I follow along on social media, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love in the NBA how they just grab all these stats from different, very obscure stats, and then they'll add something little over here, put that in, and then they'll go, in this 3-game stretch, Josh Giddey's had 75+ points, 40+ rebounds, 20+ assists, 10+ made threes, 10+ stocks, which is the first time in NBA history that anyone's ever done that in a 3-game stretch. Now, they've made up a stat here, stocks, which is a combination of steals and blocks, just to make, I don't know. I just think you can pull stats from anywhere, and, that guy that you have that jersey of could probably be the only player in the NBA to have accomplished this thing over a 12-game step.
Those stats are just so... I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw one a while ago, and it was... I can't remember exactly what the stat line was, but the players... it was like Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and then it was like Jonathan Bender, Victor Wembanyama. It's like, you probably didn't need Jonathan Bender in there. Like, he didn't really have a good career. He probably had a couple of good games, obviously, to generate some bizarre stat line, but they're clutching at straws. I'm waiting for the AFL to start to do that, because they are definitely... America does it. We better do that.
They've already started. I hear him. Kingy, who's the best. He gets all those stats information.
David King or Stephen King? David King, yep.
Stephen King, the
former ruckman. I was thinking the ruckman from Geelong, St Kilda and Bulldogs, I think he played at.
Won 2 premierships in a week. One in the VFL and one in the AFL. Pretty good. But yeah, very good at finding these obscure stats, and then you're like, they'll start doing it, and everyone will be like, wow. But do you think that says more about Jonathan Bender and his unrealized potential, or the fact that lobbing all those stats together is a crock of shit?
I think it's the lobbing the stats together is a crock of shit. Just let the players play. Fans know the stats that matter. You don't have to create these bizarre stat lines to justify people's jobs and to justify, oh, yeah, he's playing well. Cool, we know he's playing well. Just let him play well. Celebrate him for playing well. Don't create these bullshit stat lines. It's like, oh, he's the only player to have, 100 points and 50 rebounds and get 10 stocks, but also be left-handed. Like,
I do love those ones. They'll throw in a random true shooting percentage. And you're like, what? No one even knows what true shooting percentage is. Calm down.
one stat, though, that I do like is when Portland were known as the Jailblazers.
Yes.
And it's like just the rap sheet of all of the naughty things that the players had done on and off court, in trouble with the law or punching on with coaches and stuff like that. That's a good stat because that's entertaining and they're not trying to make it sports, just niche sort of stuff. Make it real. Make it for the people.
Love it. There's a great Jailblazers book out there. Highly recommend audiobook. Jump on it. All right, let's switch it up. This is the big thing, the biggest thing that's happened outside of you having a child. I'm just going to tee you up and let you cook. Huge UFC. We were talking about this last week, about this potentially not happening. And then out of nowhere, bang, Alexander Volkanovski, Jack Della Maddelena, they both have title shots coming up. Volk against Diego Lopez in Miami, and JDM versus Belal Muhammad. Where do you want to start? How amped are you? Let's go.
I'm pretty amped.
Yeah.
I did cop a few messages from people after the last episode where I flat out said that I didn't think that they would get a title shot anytime soon. And the next day they both got announced for title shots. I think for Volk, this is his last chance. Okay, Volk is absolutely GOAT. He's GOAT status. The stuff that he's done in that division is unparalleled. And the story behind him and stepping up at short notice in higher weight divisions and arguably should have won the title at lightweight. There's a lot of sort of conjecture about that.
The greatest event I've ever been to in my entire life, again, in Perth.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, the crowd thought he won.
I think a lot of people thought he won. So he has to win because he's lost a few fights. He's sort of been shooting at 50 the last little bit. So I think he needs to get back in the winners column. I do question his motivation, like how much into it is he? How is he training? Is he still training at that same intensity? It's like once you've been to the top of the mountain and stayed at the top of the mountain, once you're knocked off, it's like, you've already done it. You've done everything. You're making a lot of money. You've made a lot of money. He's doing cooking stuff now and a lot of media. It's like, does he have that same hunger? Is the dog still there? The boy from Windang?
I think the dog's still there. I listened to a great interview with him a few days ago on Ariel Hawani's show, talking about that very fact. Because and we talked about it last week. Top of the mountain, come down a little bit. I'm doing good. I'm cooking now. Cooking a souffle beats the shit out of someone choking you out. And
it does.
Beating the absolute shit out of you. And he was really open and honest and talked about it and thinking about, maybe it is time for me to ride off into the sunset. And then he sort of started hitting the gym after a year off, really. Not off, he's still training, but not training hard, not doing 2 to 3 fights a year. That takes a lot out of you. And I think he's ready. My big call. I think he's going to win this fight. He's going to come in. He's going to win. He's going to defend the belt 2, maybe 3 times. And then by the end of it, undoubtedly, the GOAT featherweight of all time. Which right now, he probably is already. But with Holloway, Aldo...
I think that's it for that GOAT conversation. I think he's the GOAT for featherweight just because of how he's done it. I think if he wins, he retires immediately. I think actually, regardless of result, I think he retires at the end of it.
You think so?
Yep.
I think
wins and rides off into the sunset on top, or loses and is like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's my big call there. I love Volk so much. He's such a great fighter, such a great person, very diligent, hard worker, very entertaining, ethnic. We love that. But yeah, I just, if he wins, I reckon he'll be done and be like, yeah, I've done it. I've done it all. What else can he do? But he's got nothing else to do in the sport unless he jumps back up, or maybe, he keeps dropping weight, but he'd have to change what he's eating to drop down another division. I don't know if those quads could do that. The other one is Jack Della Maddelena versus Bilal Muhammad, who I think has the worst nickname in professional sports.
What's his nickname?
Remember the Name.
I forgot that.
That is the shittest nickname.
I did know that, and I completely forgot it.
Remember the Name.
You're better off being the Australian cricket team and just not having a fucking name.
Go Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah.
Or there's a comedian in Melbourne called Bilal, and his handle is Bilal Snack Pack. That would be a great nickname for Bilal Muhammad.
I don't think it's trademarked at all, but Bilal Snack Pack Muhammad. Bilal Snack Pack. That's great.
Fantastic.
It's good OnlyFans tag as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snack Pack Muhammad.
I think it's styles make fights, and I think Bilal Muhammad is a wrestling beast. And it's not like your classic American freestyle wrestling. It's not your Dagestani style. It's not catch. It's not, Greco-Roman. He's just a good physical grappler, and I think that's where he will win. And I think it'll be, Bilal Muhammad doesn't finish fights. He just sort of grinds you out for 5 rounds, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think if Della wins, he has to finish the fight and finish it early before he's too zapped from getting sort of wrestle-fucked for 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Della's had a couple of longer fights recently, but most of his fights have been over pretty quickly, the first or second round. I agree with you. It's tough because I love JDM. I love Della. And then literally anyone else in the division I can see him beating. But Bilal, just like you said, styles make fights. Everything that Bilal's strength is Della's probably weak point. But I mean, it's the same with anyone Bilal fights, really.
That's what he does. He grinds it out. Here's a couple of things that you may not have known. Firstly, one area I think Della wins is his nickname. Way better. 3-name Jack. That's a way better nickname than Remember the Name. 3-name Jack.
Oh, this is the battle. It is better. But this is tough when it comes to nickname. That's the problem. We're 25 years in the sport. Longer, 30 years, the mid-90s. And then you also had boxing, which they've already started recycling. You've just run out of good nicknames.
Oh, there's so many, like the Pitbull or the Assassin and the Punisher, and it's like, come up with something good.
Yeah.
What would your fight nickname be?
I was going to say the Punisher. So
the Punisher, yeah.
Bad News. I like Bad News.
Bad News Bradshaw.
Yeah,
that's got a good ring to it. That flows. Good alliteration.
There's Bad News Brown, the wrestler from the 80s. I think Stephen Bad News Bradshaw.
And Wade Bad News Barrett from WWE.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
I've got bad news.
That's a bloody good Wade Barrett.
Thank you. I was practicing, waiting for an opportunity for years to bring that out there.
That is literally the one and only chance. God damn it, you grabbed the brass ringer, you took it, Jules.
Do you know Della's Jack is not his actual name?
I do know that, but tell me what it is.
Giacomo.
That's it, Giacomo.
Giacomo, for those who want to say it that way. Giacomo Della Maddelena. 3-name Jack.
You said you had some interesting facts about Jack.
That was 3-name Jack, and Giacomo was both name related.
That's more news. Jack, he was also on the news because Wade Barrett and the WWE, as well as the UFC, are coming to Perth again. this year and next.
Oof.
Will you be making your way to Perth for any of them? Depends on the card, depends on what's happening. Or
maybe I might
book some gigs.
I might book some shows over in Perth. I love going to Perth's the best.
Be a good week to do gigs as well.
Perth gigs are the best gigs in the country.
Yes, I've heard.
Perth, Fremantle. I was in WA a few times last year, but late last year I did a month tour around Western Australia, and it's the best, man. The gigs are great. The audiences there are fantastic. They get into it. They're not arms folded, make me laugh. They're there ready to laugh and they're ready to go. And if you're not funny, they don't laugh. But if you're funny, they lose it. And it's so good to be able to just step onto a stage and be confident, like, oh, this is going to be fun. All right. Yeah, they come out at all times. It's great. Love Perth. Great comedians there. Great scene. Great city.
As soon as those dates are announced, we're going to be booking we're going to book some shows, book some flights, and we'll be...
Maybe we'll do an episode from
Perth?
Yeah, we'll find a studio there.
Done.
There is a studio there. There's a few studios there. I did some filming there once with good friend and comedian Jared Goundry, so we do have options in WA. Aussie of the Week.
Aussie of the Week.
I love this. I love this.
It's Kyrie Irving.
The king of Baldwin.
The true dude. True blue, dinky die.
Ridgy Didge.
Gillaroo himself.
The Bilby.
That's his name. Kyrie, the Bilby Irving, as he's well known. He's our Aussie of the Week. Can't think of anyone more deserving. He's recently said that he's literally filling in the paperwork. Of course, Melbourne born. His father played in the NBL over here. So he does have a passport. Is doing the paperwork to represent Australia in the Olympics in 2028, which will be like 37 and probably our best player.
He could still ball. He's the man. He could absolutely do this. He's the son of Dredrick Irving, obviously. Who I don't remember him playing. Oh, he played for the Bulleen Boomers, not the Boomers basketball team, like not the Australian Boomers, the Bulleen Boomers. Lived in Kew before relocating to the States when he was 2. Already holds Australian citizenship, but I think because he's represented America, there's a bit of paperwork to go. Imagine him being your starting point guard or coming off the bench. What a thing to behold. That would be beautiful.
I'd love that. What have we got? Him, Giddey, Green,
Dyson.
maybe Ben Simmons, Dyson. It's a good team.
Great team.
Jock will still be
the big
around.
strap. Yeah, the strap will be there.
Love it.
Defensively, Australia could have a very good team defensively.
Little size, little length.
And you got some great defenders in there. Like, for all the shit that Simmons cops, good defender. Mm-hmm. Matty T, Matisse Thibault, can't shoot.
No.
Elite defender.
Yep.
Josh Green, good defender.
Great defender.
Again, doesn't do much else, but defends at a very, very high level. Dyson Daniels, elite defender, truly elite defender, and can score a little bit. And then you add Kyrie in there. Like, that's a phenomenal. Kyrie not known for his defense, but like you need someone to actually score the ball. Like you put them on the court together.
All of them, apart from some Simmons putbacks. I love it. I couldn't think of a better Aussie of the Week or more Australian Aussie of the Week than Kyrie Irving. You just touched on something. We move on to the next.
Yeah.
Got the big questions of the week. The big question. The first one for you. Does Victor Wembanyama's season-ending injury make Dyson Daniels a lock for DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year?
I'm glad you added OY at the end of that. Dyson Daniels, all he needed was an opportunity. All he needed was minutes. He's been getting that and he's absolutely turned heads. One thing about the US media and how they're voting thing is like, if you do it one season, they'll be like, even if you do deserve it, even if you are the best at that in that one season, they'll give it to someone who's been doing it for a few years.
Umpires do that with the Brownlow here as well.
It's bullshit. The midfielder award. I think Dyson Daniels should at the very least finish top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not sure if Wemby's eligibility sort of influence. He's out. Yep. So Dyson Daniels, who's going to beat him? I know they love Jaren Jackson.
He's the odds-on favourite at the moment.
Rudy. I don't rate him. I think he's dirty.
Him anymore.
He's very unlikable.
French.
Yeah, that too. Gave everyone COVID. And who else do you have? Like Draymond's too old. Doesn't really defend at such a high level anymore. Evan Mobley, they'll talk about. Amen Thompson should be in that conversation. He's absolutely elite at Houston. Let's go Rockets. But it's like Dyson Daniels is thieving the ball at a historic rate at the moment. The metrics on him defensively swiping are through the roof and absolutely off the charts. And like if he doesn't get 2 steals a game, it's unusual. You think, Dyson's had a stinker.
He had another 7 banger. He leads so far. I think he might have broken the single season record for deflections. Don't quote me on that, but apparently that's a thing.
And stocks. I'm sure he's killing stocks.
He's got so many stocks. His stocks are rising.
Loves the stocks.
Oh my god. They call him the Great Barrier Thief via Wall Street.
They call him the Thief of Wall Street.
The Thief of Wall Street. That's fucking good, actually. Dyson Daniels has 2 better nicknames than Bilal Muhammad already. So that's pretty amazing. But you are right. Evan Mobley is the favourite, odds-on favourite. Jaren Jackson Jr. Dyson Daniels 6-1.
That's great value.
But you're right. Media, they do like to see it a couple of years in a row. Also, there's a big bias. The same way there's a midfield bias in the Brownlow, there's a big bias in the NBA.
And he's Australian. So, it's also going against him.
Mm-hmm.
Also going against him. I think, Dyson Daniels is... I read a stat that he's got more steals than... since the All-Star break than 5 teams in total. More steals than 5 teams in total.
It's a one-man wrecking crew. They just can't win any games, but that's not his fault.
Okay, next question. Footy.
It's back.
It is back. Who's your... St Kilda.
Saints.
St Kilda. Will the Bombers make the finals?
No. All right, next question. I think that they might make the finals. I can't see them winning it.
I
can't see them winning at finals. How long's it been?
21 years.
21 years.
And every year they get talked up and their supporters are insufferable.
The worst supporter base in the AFL. Hands up. We hate Collingwood, Carlton, blah, blah, blah. But Essendon...
They've just got this smugness that is undeserved. They haven't won anything for years.
They love to sook excuses.
Rabble.
Anyway, fuck the Bombers. Sorry. All right, last question. This one's an important one. Would you rather hammer a nail in your dick than watch the Matildas play soccer, Dooley?
Oh, all right. I am so sick of hearing about Marty Sheargold's Matildas take. Jesus. All right, if you don't like a certain sport, don't watch it. It's literally that simple. I don't like golf. I don't watch golf. It's that simple. Now, here's a question which I'll throw back before I dig into this a little bit more. Okay. Thinking of like great sporting moments in your life, like do you have any where you remember exactly where you were?
The 2010 draw, St Kilda.
Yep. Where were you?
I was at a friend's place.
Okay, I thought you were going to say I was at the game.
I was at the replay. Yep. I remember where I was at the end of that game.
Yep.
Barely, because I was maggoted. But yeah, at a friend's place, big Collingwood household. And if you remember that game, they were winning. And then, but everyone else there, they were getting sick of the Collingwood chit chat. People that don't even like footy. And then that final quarter, and then everyone got behind the same. It was the best, and we thought we were going to win. So that's probably the one that first comes to mind. You?
I remember when the Socceroos beat Uruguay to qualify for the World Cup for the first time in a long, long time.
Johnny Aloisi?
Yeah. Oh, him and Schwarzer. I remember I was there. This is a random connection sort of fact. I was at a function and I was sitting next to Neil Danaher, and we could hear the pub. We're on Hamilton Island. I could hear a pub just going off, and I looked over at him and he's like, "Do you want to go?" Like, yeah, let's go. And so we legged it to this pub just in time. We caught the last I think probably 20 minutes of stoppage time, and then the penalties went off, and we're just like hanging off each other. Like, it was mayhem. And when Aloisi scored that final penalty shot and nailed it, it was the best. Like, tables were being flipped. I've never seen such joy and just like everyone screaming. And I'm standing there with an AFL legend, and he's losing his mind. Danners was going nuts. Everyone was going nuts. So that's one I remember. The other one, bringing me to the Matildas, is at the Women's World Cup when they were also in the penalty shootout. I was on tour, and I was in regional Victoria at a pub in Kerrang. And let me tell you, so like, there's this thought out there that like the only people who watch women's sport are women. And this pub was full of dudes. And this was like one of those regional pubs where the only women in this pub were working behind the bar, that sort of thing. And we had to delay the start of the gig because everyone was in the pub just watching the game and wouldn't come into the show. A ticketed event, like, it's a proper gig, a lot of people there, but it had just captured everyone's sort of attention, and everyone was so focused. And I remember being there, and we were getting into it. I remember being there and seeing these old dudes just like riding every shot. And when they scored that, it was Courtney Vine, I think it was, got that last penalty in to win that match. Again, the pub went absolutely bonkers. Yeah. So I guess my sort of thing is like, if you don't like women's sport, don't watch it. It's that simple.
Yeah.
That simple. I don't like 2020 cricket. I think it's shit. I think it's popcorn plastic cricket. I don't watch it. I would probably rather nail a hammer through my dick than watch golf, though. That is far out. That is a boring sport.
All right, I don't let the rebels here talk about that. All right. Yeah, I'm not even going near that thing. What I did appreciate of this whole saga, because I don't do much with my life, was just reading the comment sections of all the particularly Facebook, because it's more boomer friendly. Whereas TikTok's very, everyone's like,
I don't understand TikTok.
Yeah, everyone's anti sheer gold on TikTok, which is totally correct, whatever your thoughts are. But then you go to Facebook and there's people, nuff-nuffs, complete nuff-nuffs, having debates with very little point to them. And I could just read. I read it. I sat there for like an hour and a half, and I just read. It was the most fun I've had just all week, I think.
I love a lot of people getting outraged. There's so many hot takes on it. My hot take is not that much of a hot take. If you're not interested, don't watch it. It's that simple. Yeah, they're not going well at the moment. But I think that's a thing that a lot of people don't understand in Australia about the world game, is because it operates on like a World Cup cycle every 4 years. There's always a period of like the team will fall back a little bit to prepare and regenerate for the world. It's all about the World Cup. It's not about like winning a season. It's a 4-year process to get to that point. So, players are being blooded who probably may not be ready yet. Sam Kerr's been out with an ACL and, for a long period of time, and was injured before that as well. They don't really have a long-term coach in place. There's all these different factors there. I don't know. Marty Shegold, great comic, probably a shit take, but hey, people are talking about Triple M, and so like there's a few theories there that it was done intentionally to get people talking about the Matildas and to get people talking about Triple M and all this sort of stuff. I don't know. I think that's bullshit.
I think so. It sounded very reminiscent to just going to the pub with my uncle, to be honest.
Is your uncle Marty Shegold?
Uncle Marty, I call him.
Yeah.
No, not my uncle's a woman. So, let's go. Can we cut that? We don't have a producer.
Multi.
Yeah, let's do.
What'd you go? How did we go in the last one?
We got two from three.
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
But the first one I've gone. I went the Dallas Mavericks to beat, I think, the Sacramento. Yeah, Dallas to beat Sacramento. This is just put it. Dante. He's one great, one terrible game.
Yeah,
he's due for a great one. So, and also Aussie of the week,
Kyrie.
Had to go with Kyrie. And then we've got India versus Australia in the ICC Champions Trophy, which, as listeners would know, we know the entire history of and how it works so well that we're very confident in Australia. And then we've got Man City.
Mary Fowler.
I think that's pretty. They're going to smash West Ham. It's going to be like the Gillaroos all over again. But we're backing in one of our favourite Tilly at the moment, our best Tilly. So
my prediction is by the next Women's World Cup, she's the best player for the Matildas. I think she already is, and will end her career as one of the all-time greats.
Lock it in. You can also lock this bet in on Sportsbet. Just follow the Budgy Smugglers pod in the sports feed. It's paying $5.18. That's not bad.
That's solid.
Oh, cool. Power rankings?
Okay.
Have you seen these?
No.
I also changed it while you were talking before.
Okay.
So,
all right, let's hit me with it. It can't be worse than last time.
I've put them in the spreadsheet.
Okay.
So we can. Do you want me to kick things off?
You can't have someone as the legend and then they're coming in at number 10.
No,
Kyrie.
he was Aussie of the week.
Aussie of the week.
We've done that. It was such a strong response from you last week that I thought this might be a theme. That Aussie of the week just locks in 10
as their spot. That is just insane. Kyrie at number 10, and then we've got Mary Fowler coming in at number 9, who her partner did very well in Vegas, didn't he? The jawline.
She's a strong, independent woman. I don't think we need to bring what her man does into this.
Well,
Jaws.
I would say that she's the better athlete of that duo. And I think he's the GOAT in the NRL.
That was good. That is a hot take.
That is a hot take. I think she's better than Cleary.
Maybe the greatest rugby player, potentially building a GOAT career. Nathan Cleary, you think at the end of the day, Mary Flower's going to have the better career out of the two.
Absolutely.
She did on the international stage. At number 8, I've chucked in old mate Ryan Peake, who just won
the Rebel.
1.8 million. The Rebel. Ryan the Rebel Peake, another good, if the golf thing doesn't work out and he gets into MMA.
Didn't you just say he died?
No, that was my friend I was talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about him.
No, I wasn't talking about him.
I was like, wow, he won the golf and he's finished already.
He won yesterday. They just had a monster.
There you go.
Comancheros.
Molly Picklum, the surfer, who I know now.
I still got
Molly.
an article calling her the newest Australian sensation. I did drop her down a couple of spots this week. Because
Tyler Wright is still a better surfer than Molly Picklum.
Well, tell her to pick up again.
Got Della Giacomo, 3-name Jack, coming in at number 6. I think that is a good ranking. I think that's your best ranking that you've done. I think that checks out. Like, he hasn't won the title. He's been in the media. He's getting a title shot. That's good.
Big part of the press conference the other day. He's got a title shot. I think that's
from Perth, in the northern suburbs of Perth. His gym is at.
In number 5, we spoke a lot about him today. It's going to be Josh Giddey. He's just on en fuego at the moment.
Could have been higher in this power rankings, I think.
You've already looked ahead and
he's at number 5. Like, he should be.
Good.
He's been on fire and he at number 5.
All right.
Cutting him, you got to cut him some slack. You're selling him short.
You move him up to number 4?
You're selling the guy with stocks short.
Old Stocksy Chalamet. He's all right. You can move him up to 4. We can change that on the fly.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, all right. In number 5, it's Alex Demonor, who probably could be a lot further down on this list.
He shouldn't be in the top 10.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, he's good. He's dropped down from 3rd last week.
Yeah, the slide has begun.
All right. Do you want to do 4th now? The actual 4th? We've changed it.
Josh Giddey.
Yeah, Josh
Giddey.
On fire in the NBA.
Stocks.
Just stocks are up for Josh Giddey.
That's it. Great hair, great stocks. Killing the share market, the win share market.
Hey. I love it. You could do number 3.
Okay, number 3. Hey, Mommy. We've got Rhea Ripley.
WrestleMania, she's not dropping out of the top 3 until post WrestleMania.
It is, yeah. It's wrestling season, and she is the queen.
Not Australian, but did you watch the Elimination Chamber? Wild.
I cannot even.
Wild.
What a finish.
Gavin Semple messaged me today. I just checked in to make sure he didn't off himself. So it's like his childhood hero. So, which is good. In number 2, last week's number 1. So we've got a new number 1 this week, which I don't know how you're going to feel about. But Jordan Mailata, of course, very deserving inaugural number 1, but he's dropped down to number 2, and he'll continue to fall until about October.
Yep. Surely he's done nothing since we recorded.
We did one interview with the Kelsey boys, so Taylor Swift knows who he is now. That's a big... God. Actually, that could probably keep him at number 1. Speaking of number 1, Dools.
You've gone Alex and the great Volkanovski at number 1. I think that we got to have some rules around how you're picking your power. He hasn't done anything this week.
We talked about this last week. You like this?
I love Volk. I love Volk. Volk is the man, but he shouldn't be number 1.
Greatest fighter in Australian fighter in history, outside out of any combat sport, maybe apart from who? Jeff Fennick? Costa Zoo, maybe.
Costa Zoo, Jeff Fennick. I love yous all. Do you know in Maltese, Fennick it means rabbit?
Okay.
Which is a bit
He's the high energy guy.
Trivia.
Going, so that makes sense.
Keeps going. Lionel Rose, great fighter.
Yes, good shout.
Johnny Famishon, old school, boxer there.
Anthony Mundine was the world champ. But he's the GOAT. He's a featherweight GOAT. He's Australian MMA GOAT, and he's got a world championship fight. I think
great cook.
Cooking with folk, souffles all days, wins belts, cashes checks. I think he's a very deserving number 1. You're not so sure.
I just think he hasn't done enough in the last week to warrant being in the top 10, let alone number 1.
What? Not in the top 10.
He's been offered a shot. He accepted the shot. That's all he's done. He hasn't done anything else.
That's more than...
He's done training. Every AFL player has been training. NRL players, you could put half the Panthers or whoever played in Vegas.
Cleary was in last week.
And he played this week.
Well, you'll put him at number 1.
I'd put him in the top 10. I'd probably put Josh Giddey at number 1.
Josh Giddey, number 1.
Josh Giddey's been balling the last few weeks.
We're talking about the greatest of all time.
Yeah, but he hasn't done it, It's like, okay. Then Dustin Martin should be in there.
No, he didn't.
But he's greatest.
Sign up for a grand final.
The GOAT. Dusty's the GOAT.
Oh, controversy again at the he's you're gonna be pissed off next week because he might stay there until the fight.
He's got to do something to warrant it. That's for sure.
Right.
Got to do something.
That's Bowring. That's the show, Jules.
Mate, what do you got on this week?
What have I got on this week? I've got Goffs back on Wednesday. So run up to the comedy festival, super busy. We'll have some good acts, I'm sure. Thursday, I'm in Hobson's.
Yep.
Did I know that one?
Yep.
I can't remember off the top of it. Okay. So got that. Friday, I reckon I've got something at Goff. We've got some more trial shows at Goffs. On Friday, we've got Igor, Pauletta, and Sean Collier's trial show for their split show. Henry Ann had his on Saturday. It was packed house. It was great. And then on Saturday, we have Steph Hare.
Cool.
2024 Raw Final. She's her first solo show. It's her first trial show as well, I think. So,
very cool.
What about yourself?
Hobson's, just on that. That is a wild gig.
Okay.
For all different reasons. I've done it a couple times. I did it once. I opened for sort of comedy legend Richard Stubbs. Ooh. And that was, I've never been more terrified to do a gig because it was a lot of, like, he's been doing comedy and radio for 30 plus years. And so the audience were very aged. Mm-hmm. And I rocked up there.
3AW?
Yeah, I think he's done everything from FM to AM. Okay. And when I rocked up on stage, I had tattoos, I had ripped jeans, and I think I literally opened with, I don't think you're going to like me, so let's just do our best to get through this 10 minutes or however long I did. And they were great. They were really on board. And I was terrified because the other opening acts at the time, they were not on board for. I remember being there waiting, and I could see from my vantage point this table of old women, and they were looking at the stage. And then when the act was on, they just flat out turned their back and folded their arms and just like, no. And one of them looked at me and just like shook her head in disgust at what was going. Wasn't even a dirty act. I'll tell you who it is once we stop pressing record.
Yep.
And then the last time I played there, I headlined and closed out the show, and there was an audience member who was hammered.
Love it.
And while I was waiting, so I think the act before me was on, and this guy loved the comedy so much that he just like went to an ATM and then came and gave everyone like extra money.
Fuck yeah.
I hadn't been on stage yet, so I didn't get any money.
Oh, no.
So like, I just got on there, did my like 25 minutes or whatever, and didn't get that extra like $50, which would have been very nice. He was like, just throw it, like to the point where I can't remember who it was, but someone got the money. He's like, oh, I feel a bit weird, like, you know, and you go, and then they were like, no. And the guy was like forcibly putting it in his pocket. And so it can be a wild gig. So best of luck for that.
Fuck, now I'm going in there thinking I'm going to make $50.
You might. That's always good. This week, look, I'm still like basically taking the week off. I'm just dropping in at Dirty Secrets on Sunday. Haven't done it for a while, Dirty Secrets comedy. So it'd be good to get back down there and just get the rust off a little bit. It'll be 2 weeks since I've gigged, which is a long time for me.
Yeah.
A long time for me. And then after that, we'll start to, you know, pick back up and get back on the road a little bit in the run into comedy.
What do we got? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Yeah, I've got 4 weeks. I open on the 28th of March. Opening night is fully sold out though, but Daddy Cool is, had some media come out in the last few weeks and will come out in the next few weeks, some interviews. So, Daddy Cool, it is selling very well at this point in time. Already a quarter of the tickets fully sold. So if you want to come, check it out, but get that ticket soon. Don't wait. Like I had last year. Were you at the show last year where I had to boot people out because they'd snuck in? Yeah. So I feel like that could happen again this year. I don't want that to happen. It's cool that it happens, but I don't want that to happen. I want people to be able to rock up and knowing that their seat is there and that, you know, I can just do more shows.
I think that maybe like even a slight bit of security, because I'm pretty sure it was sold out and they just sort of followed the crowd in.
Pretty much, yeah. The door guy, Jared Goundry, was distracted at the time.
Useless. He wouldn't be good on in a war.
No. But yeah, otherwise just dad mode, Dirty Secrets on Sunday. Jeremy Dooley official. Check it out for details.
Love it. That's the end of the Budgy Smugglers. Good to have back tools. Catch you later, everyone.
See ya.